Hey everybody, it's Lorraine Alternative Homesteading on January 26, 2026. And I hope everybody's doing well. It was like 5 degrees a couple of minutes ago and it increased to 7 degrees. It's really cold outside. Lots of snow and ice on the ground, but I want to bring up a topic of community stalking, community harassment, and the smear campaign. The smear campaign is usually done. People come into the communities and spread the smear, and then they usually select people in the communities, like the narcissists, the people that they can manipulate, to continue to spread these campaigns. And it's usually somebody who has narcissistic personality, envious, a jealous person, somebody that they can count on to continue to spread the false information in the community. That could be a neighbor, it could be an official, it could be a police officer, it could be anyone. But generally it is usually one or two people in the community that people know well. And for those of you who don't remember, my name is Lorraine. I moved from 52 Sutton Drive, Manalapan, New Jersey, a home I lived in for 30 years as original owner. And I became targeted there, and it followed me to a remote rural Kentucky, Jackson County, and I moved here knowing no one. So please just keep that in mind. I know that a lot of you guys move around and you tend to know people where you move. I didn't know anyone. I moved to a new state, a new town, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't socialize with anybody. I didn't have time to socialize with anybody. I was too busy, hiring people to come and work here and do things on the property because the property was very distressed. The former owner was 96 years old when he passed away, and even before that he had been in the hospital. So there was a lot of a neglect due to that fact, and there really wasn't anybody around here that was helping him, evidently. Otherwise, it would not have been as distressed as it was. But I also believe, after having lived here for a while, that some of what was happening on his property then was being done deliberately. I think they were targeting him too. It's just that he was very well known in the community. And but what happens is, there were times that he would be visiting his sons in another state, and his property would be vandalized and things stolen from him. You find out a lot of things about somebody after they pass away and you purchase their property. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit, because as I was hiring people on the property, I had to hire somebody to cut down some trees that were blocking the path along the driveway, because at the time I was supposed to be living at the top of the hill, not exactly where I'm living now. But the powers that be prevented that from happening, because that was a more strategic place to live on the property than exactly where I'm living now. So I hired a couple of people to help me move things, take down trees, take down the mobile home trailer, and then I hired a local person to cut down some trees, pay them, whatever, and it turns out he'd brought his son with him, and he's married, lived down the block and stuff. Later comes to my attention that they were coming around or being nice to me for an ulterior motive. Okay, so after I hired this individual to cut down some trees, he was a logger, paid him, he would have his wife and sometimes him bring me food. Now, you have to understand that I moved from a 5-bedroom house and I was living in my car in May for 6 weeks. It rained every day. All of my stuff was pretty much in storage. And literally, I was living out of the back of my car with a couple of cats, So, so this person would bring me some food. And then there was one time she drove me into town. I didn't know where anything was. The wife drove me into town so that I could sign up for the electrical. I had to provide some proof and pay like a month of invoices and go food shopping. So that happened once. And again, this is back in 2019. I moved here in May. And I'm going to say maybe this happened in June. And then it never happened again. So it happened once. One ride into town, one grocery shop, and one going to, a local utility. That's it. They would periodically, I'm going to say 3 to 4 times during the time I was living at the top of the hill in my car, that they actually brought me like a dinner, which was really nice. I was grateful. But there was an ulterior motive, because it turns out that, a lot of the people around here knew the former owner very, very well. He had had meetings on his property, church meetings and gatherings, and he actually had tours here. It was a tourist attraction. He built this village by hand, all by himself, but he didn't live where I'm living, where the little village is, all those little buildings that you see. He lived at the top of the hill, where he lived in his mobile home trailer, which I ended up taking down because it was covered in black mold. And as I was living in my car, the local criminals were continuing to vandalize it. Yes, while I was living in my car, they were continuing to vandalize it. They actually stole 4 of my cats within the first 3 days I was living here. But I digress. So, and that was pretty much it. And then, my neighbor next door, immediately next door, the one on Neighborhood Wars A&E, April 11, 2023, visited me and wanted to show me where my property began and ended. So he ended up walking me all the way down the county road and said, well, your property begins here, which was not true, and it ends here, which was true. It turns out that my property did not begin in the middle of the county road. It began, because I have property both across the street and where I'm living now, directly out of my driveway. Okay, so these are the 2 major perpetrators against me. Then there was another one who performed U-turns at night, at around 10 p.m. at night, with a load of logs on the back end of his trailer, and tore up my driveway. And that guy's name was Chris, and he lives up the block. He's the one that actually stole a gate, refused to return it, said the law told him he couldn't return my own property. Yes. So those are the first 3 perpetrators. Okay, so the first one is the logger who I paid to cut down some trees here. The female drove me into town one time, and they brought me food either 3 or 4 times. Very early on. It could have been in May and June. That was it. No, nothing beyond that. 2019. Okay? So now, there was slander afoot in the community. People I would hire. One person I attempted to hire said, people are talking about you. They say that you don't pay people. I said, I just moved here. I pay everybody. Do you think people work for free? They don't work for free. So there was this immediate slander afoot that I don't pay people. And then there was another slander campaign about my cats. I'm a witch because I have cats that live better than some of the people around here. I don't know who was spreading that rumor or whatever. But I'm going to get to the point now, because over 6 years, I have had trash thrown on my property, witchcraft, and I do know the difference. I have, and some of you may know, a professional astrologer, tarot reader. I was hired by a major party planner in New Jersey. I worked many, many parties, corporate parties, private parties, local parties in the neighborhood. I wrote articles for astrology magazines, publications. I actually spoke on the topic in Arizona for the American Federation of Astrologers. So I'm very familiar not only with astrological concepts, which is planetary geometry, basically, but I read a lot about the occult, both positively and negatively. Because, you know, these occults, C-U-L-T-S, they like to bastardize sacred teachings, the laws of the universe. They like to twist everything, corrupt everything. So when I speak on knowing the difference between branches falling on my property naturally and witchcraft, I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that I know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? I know what witchcraft is, and I know what it isn't. And I know that I found witchcraft here on the property when I moved here. They were doing it to the former owner, 96-year-old lovely, lovely man named Travis Sparks. And the reason I'm getting into this whole soliloquy here is because I'm going to demonstrate how my neighbor down the block, the one who has dropped soiled, poopy diapers in front of my mailbox, caught on video. I didn't even intend to do that. I was actually videotaping something else on my property, and at that very moment, she drives up, stops, and drops a bag in front of my driveway and splits. So I catch that on camera, go take a look at it, and she left soiled diapers, poopy diapers, in front of my mailbox. And this is my neighbor, Scarlett. There was another time at midnight, also caught on camera. This was her red pickup truck. Most likely her son and her husband pulled up at midnight, literally drove into my driveway, which is trespassing. Drove into my driveway, stopped the vehicle, the headlights on, get out, and take another bag of trash and empty it all onto my driveway, which is trespassing, and draped over my gate. More trespassing. But this is also vandalism, right? And what is this? These is toilet paper, soiled toilet paper, the bag, a bar of soap. This is very sick behavior, very sick behavior. There were other times when she would scream out of her car at me. She ran over my cat the first month I was living here on the county road, because she drives very quickly. And she ran over my cat, and then she has the audacity to text message me that somebody else ran over my cat. Another text message that I received another time saying, "Oh, your pig got loose. It's running down the county road." She knows damn well that I don't have a pig. But this is another form of harassment. Another form of harassment was texting me on and on and on, and this is all on my channel, by the way, all screenshot, all recorded, harassing me about my using a flashlight on my property. She was calling it a spotlight. At the time, I only owned a flashlight, but I'm allowed to use a flashlight on my own property, and since my property is technically across the county road, sometimes I want to see what's going on my property across the county road. But no, she gave me a song and a dance through a series of ongoing text messages. that using a spotlight is illegal. So now, of course, I had to check the county and the state laws about using flashlights and spotlights. Well, lo and behold, the little loser girl down the block knows nothing about the law. She just has a really big mouth, starts spewing stuff that she knows nothing about. One, flashlights and spotlights are permitted. The only thing that's really not permitted is driving down a county road with these special headlights that mostly like law enforcement use. So law enforcement are allowed to use them, but local people are not. And basically what these people were doing when I first moved here is they would use those big headlights going down the county road. They were hunting for snakes. And they would literally shoot the snakes on the county road, even though the snakes were doing nothing to them, and they lived nowhere near the snakes. But I digress. So this is just a mindset here, okay, of this individual who was constantly harassing me from the time I moved here. So now you all know that I posted a video. The video is entitled Public Corruption at its Finest, Jackson County PVA Property Tax Reevaluated with no notification letter to dispute. This is a fact. This is factual that I was exonerated from property taxes for 2 years, age 65 or older, and owned 10 acres or more of land. And I have it in writing from McKaylee McCowan, Jackson County PVA, as of February 18, 2025, I am still exonerated with property taxes, even though my tax record was updated with a new photo of my home and the new acreage, because they had the old acreage before the land was surveyed. When the land was surveyed, the acreage changed. For 6 years, they had not changed it on my tax record. They finally did, okay? But it still did not change my tax status. At the time, it was still exonerated in writing. So then, lo and behold, in October, I received a tax bill of close to $1,500. And I called them trying to understand what was going on. And then I filed a complaint, FOIA request, etc. And that's what this video was about. Calling them out on they never sent me a notification that my property taxes were being reevaluated, that they were reassessed, and that they were increased. By law, you are required to receive that so that you can dispute it, and you are given an allocated amount of time to dispute it. Via multiple FOIA requests, they have still not been able to reproduce the actual notification letter that they alleged claim to mail me. So I created the video, I recorded her for evidence that it was never sent to me. It was never sent to me. So I posted that on my YouTube channel. I also posted in the community page that I created on Facebook, because when I moved here, there was no such Facebook page for this town, for the county, for anything. I was the first person, the woman from New Jersey, to create a Facebook page so that people could share information about the town. And because I was obviously being slandered and prevented from providing things that were happening here, I created the Facebook page called The Name of This Town Uncensored, just the way they did when I lived in New Jersey. In New Jersey, I also created a Manalapan Uncensored Facebook page. And people were thrilled about that because there were a couple of people that were controlling the Manalapan pages in New Jersey. They were realtors, right? So they had an in for getting the news of the pulse of the community so that they could, sell homes to people. But they were blocking people from speaking. Dozens of people complained about it. So I created the page there, just the way I did here. And then I posted that video about my rooster, Chirp, who was stolen from inside my locked coop and thrown outside to freeze to death. Okay? So I posted those two on my YouTube channel and also on the community Facebook page for this town. My neighbor Scarlett, who has been banned from that Facebook page, who was caught stalking me on this channel, who was also banned and reported. She was caught stalking me on my TikTok, which I don't even have it on my phone anymore. Taking my information. Again, whatever I would post, she was stalking, taking my videos, whatever I posted to her page, and then defame me, spread slanderous lies about me, and bring on her flying monkeys to leave comments based upon her false narrative of what I was stating, trying to discredit the factual information that I was presenting. And this is what narcissists do. They bring in their flying monkeys. So we're going to expose the flying monkeys and the defamatory narrative that this woman is spreading based upon the factual information that I posted not only on my channel but on the county Facebook page. She did the same thing. She took two of my videos, posted them to her personal Facebook page, which is public, by the way. It's a public page with public comments. So this is not something that I looked for, actually. I didn't even know that she did it. But I thank you two individuals who have been looking out for me. One, a subscriber, and two, believe it or not, somebody that lives not far from here who does not like this biatch. Okay? And I am blessed to know that there are some sane people, honest people, that live here in Jackson County, that live here in this town, that cannot stand this woman's guts, and sent me screenshots of what she has posted on her Facebook page. And we are going to go through that because it is quite possible that some of the people that posted here are perpetrators of the crimes against me here in Jackson County, Kentucky. So now what this woman writes after she posts my video on her Facebook page, right here. As you can see, that is my video. She reposted, even though she is banned. She's banned from my Facebook page. She is banned from my personal page. She is banned from TikTok. She is banned from my YouTube. She has taken this, posted it to her personal Facebook page, and this is what she writes. This human is beyond anything I've ever seen. Our Jackson County, McKee, Kentucky PVA office, or any office for that matter. I'm so sorry you have to deal with this craziness such as this. Just be glad you don't live on the same road as her. There's got to be something that could be done with her and all the stress and aggravation she's caused the last 6 years. I am so glad that I don't sit around and stir up crap like she does. It's all I can do to keep my own self in line. Much ever. Let me just click on this. Much ever anyone else's around me. I couldn't care less what others do. Really? Then why are you stalking my channel? Why are you stalking my videos? And why are you reposting them for commentary? It's all I can do to keep my own self in line, much less anyone else's around me. I couldn't care less what others do. Well, obviously you do care, because you have been stalking me for 6 years. Listen, residents, we need help up here. I will say kudos to the lady for telling her to worry about her own property instead of everyone around her. Well, I'm going to tell you, loser girl, that by law, every resident has a right to know what other people are paying for property taxes. That's how you're able to dispute them. But from what I understand, you don't pay property taxes, even though you're not 65 or over. How has that happened? Is that why your name and the other perpetrators around here are not posted on the county website? I will say kudos. This human's daughter needs to make a trip to the old Cane Tuck to do a wellness check on her mama. She's not well, in my opinion. Opinions are like, everyone has one, and that's mine. When bear is poked enough, it will bite back, and I'm at that point. I've had all of her I can handle, and my nerves and anxieties full to the top and running over. Now that she's got some trouble on YouTube and is not getting paid anymore for views, I'll share this craziness. Do you hear that? So this woman is stalking me. If you're a praying person, please send some up for us on this road. That is my neighbor, spreading slander and lies. I have not seen this woman in months. I could care less about what she does. Okay, but let's listen to some of the commentary here. This is Adriana Brewer. Has anyone tried sending a cease and desist letter and maybe defamation charges? She's posting you guys on YouTube. Really? Really? Name calling mentions death to Jezebel. Did I say death? I never use that word. I think that could be considered harassment. Oh, here's another one. Honestly, it's an escalating mental health issue. There's got to be something. The death to Jezebel thing made my stomach turn, especially since that is my sister she's speaking of. She said, really? I have no idea who this is. She says and does so much against her and all the other neighbors who have never bothered her. Oh, please, give me a break. I cannot understand why they can't get someone to help them. She gets to keep on doing and saying whatever she wants. Excuse me, I'm Miss Tanya Berry, Adriana Brewer. Would you like to see the videos of the poopy nurse leaving poopy diapers in front of my mailbox? How about would you like to see the video of the dildo left in my mailbox? Or how about the dead animals? Or how about my gate being torn out? Right? Or how about her husband harassing a worker on my property to perform vandalism on the property? Yes, I know. How do I know? I spoke to the lawyer of the man who he harassed. I did, yes. So keep spreading rumors and lies, because the only people here that are spreading harassment and defamation are you guys. You're posting them in a public forum. And you know what defamation is? Defamation is a false statement. Speaking the truth is not defamation. It's a fact. So let's see who else posted information here. There are 44 comments. Okay. Lori Tincher. Netflix should do a docuseries about what you're having to deal with on this neighbor. Ronald Witt. Her cornbread ain't done in the middle. Digit Vaughn Carey. Isn't Jackson County in need of animal rescue? We have one and didn't even know it. Let's drop strays at her house. She has a 501c3. Let me show you this as proof evidence. Digit Vaughn. Isn't Jackson County in need of animal rescue? We have one and didn't even know it. Let's drop strays at her house. She has a 501c3. Ha ha ha. Sharon Gale. I don't take kindly to a bully, and that's what she is, plain and simple. I've never met these people before. I never heard of them. I never met them. Let's see what else Ronald Witt has to say here. Ronald Witt. It's Ronald Witt. Sharon Gale. Ronald Witt, Sharon Gale, I agree. So here it is, my neighbor literally stalking my channel because she knows, she said that I'm not getting paid for my videos anymore. Right now that she's got some trouble on YouTube and is not getting paid anymore for views, I'll share this craziness. If you're a praying person, please send some up for us here. So that's the first video. Then she posts my rooster video. Okay, she posts my rooster video. Let's see if I can find it here. Let me just put this down for a moment. And the comments on the rooster video is insanity. And this is a woman who goes looking for my information to discredit and stalk. So here it is again. She posts my video of my rooster. Now, a normal, empathetic person, when this is traumatic, somebody goes into your chicken coop and steals your rooster and throws them out to freeze to death. That's traumatic. But instead of feeling empathy, this woman posts my video for commentary. She says, well, the poopy nurse hasn't left her station since Friday afternoon, and neither has my crew. Somebody please get your mom or granny or ever she is. It's early Sunday morning, and they got me talking ugly. It's never ending with this witch. Nobody has done anything to her. Scarlett, would you like for me to read the cease and desist letters that you received in 2022? Or how about the videos that I have evidence of the things that you have done to me? Okay? Sunday morning, and she's got me talking ugly. It's never ending with this witch. Nobody has done anything to her. She's dangerous and needs to be stopped from doing what she does to me and all the folk around. What am I doing to you? And all the folk around here. All we done is try to be nice to her and be good neighbor. Oh, right. And she just doesn't understand, neither does she. She deserve any help. She done got me fired up this morning. Okay, so let me scroll down. Let's see what the comments are here. Okay. She says, the only time I've been on her property was to take her a meal from my table or haul her ass around. Let's see. Or haul her ass around. Getting her utilities turned on, or take her to a store, or cut a tree down. I'm not done any of the things she's accused me of. Not yet, anyway. Sarah Bowling, you mean you're not putting falling leaves and sticks in her yard? Anyone knows. Let me see. Scroll this down. anyone knows that just doesn't happen by accident. All jokes aside, that woman truly has mental issues, and it's scary because she actually believes everyone's against her. She's a danger. I don't understand why something can't be done with her. Listen, oh no, this is really important, folks, for the targeted people there. Now, this is a woman named Sarah Bowling. She says, I don't understand why something can't be done with her. There was a guy murdered in London a few months back for this exact same thing. His neighbor had it out for him because he thought he was using energy weapons against him. Now, I don't even know who Sarah Bowling is. I have no idea who that is. So this is more. So this is the way slander is spread in a community. And let me get the other comments here. More comments. And this is about my rooster being stolen. Oh, and by the way, she's been on my property multiple times. Like when she dropped the poopy diapers. When she has pulled into my driveway. When I had a tree cut down, I guess it was after 2019, her husband came to take the tree down, and she had to stand around and watch him. She was on the property. There was another time she was on the property when Daniel Isaacs, he was a deputy at the time, I hired him to cut the outer field. He actually should have done it for free because he had trespassed my property for months prior with his horses tearing up my property. But he was going to charge me $300, but I got it down to $200, which is pretty much what I pay now. But yeah, so I paid him $200 to cut the outer property, but guess what happened? He broke down. And who did he call? Ghostbusters. This one, who hung out on my property for a minimum of a half an hour, chatting it up with him because he suddenly ran out of gas on his mower. Yeah, and they were hanging out there chatting. So no, she was on my property multiple times. You want to know when else she was on my property? After she buttered me up to take me into town and give me a couple of meals, she then mentioned all of the items on the property that Travis had, the former owner, that she liked. She was inquiring about these items. So, and so was her husband. Her husband asked me, he said, there is a poster and it's in this building. He said, I'd really like it. I said, well, I'll look for it and I'll give it to you. I found it. I gave it to her husband free of charge. And you want to know what I gave to Miss Scarlett free of charge? A total of approximately $1,000 worth of items on this property. Those items included a vintage metal rocker, not a chair. This is like a 3-seater rocker. There were multiple ones on the property, so she saw it. She said that she liked it, and I gave it to her. So I gifted it to her. So she was on my property to retrieve that item. She also liked a butter churn, a vintage butter churn, worth approximately $200. She was interested in that. I gave it to her. I gifted it to her. Then she specifically asked if she could have one of Travis Sparks' old vintage hats. How did she know I would have them? But I did. I gave her one of his vintage hats. He wore hats, by the way. He was one of those prim and proper adorable old man that dressed up on Sundays with a suit and a tie, shiny shoes, and a top hat. So he had multiple hats, and I gifted her that hat. I also gave her, I believe it was some kind of a vase. Cumulatively, it was close to approximately $1,000. And then after that, I didn't want anything to do with her. So now this Noretta Gilbert, this is public information, by the way. Noretta Gilbert says, this is what we need to do to her. Get dressed and walk down the road. LOL. And let me scroll down here so you can see what's going on here. Amy and Adam got, oh no, look at the boulders the state left on my driveway this morning. They must be out to get me. I was so thankful to be home this morning. I drove right over them. Maudie Peters, poopy nurse, you're trying to steal her property, her wealth. I bet it took you 2 to 3 hours to throw them sticks in her driveway. She's a complete nut. Anthony Rose, you chicken killer, that poor woman. Jessica Harrison, did you kill her chicken as a sacrifice for the Snow King? Meta Tillery, that woman is crazy and trying to drive everybody else that way. She needs to go back to New Jersey. Stay there. It's no better than Jackson County people will help one another if they will let them. But this woman, nobody can help. Nobody can help. I help to do work for her, and she wouldn't pay us. I don't know who she is. I never hired this woman. And she wouldn't pay us. She will beat you any way she can. No help for her. Trump could help her. She should bring a lawsuit against him if he tried. No, I don't know what this person is. This woman is speaking gibberish. First of all, I don't know who this woman is. I never hired this woman. And I pay everybody here. That's why I have a really high credit score. I paid cash for my house. That's right. I paid cash for my house. And I paid everybody that worked here. This Meta Tillery, I don't know who this woman is. I've never met any of these people before. Maudie Peters, I don't know who any of these people are. Amy and Adam, I don't know any of these people. Oh, it's the foxes she illegally feeds. Stacy Kane Carroll, God will bring to light all of her darkness soon enough, and he will let you watch hold to his word. Crystal Baker, this lady needs help. This is honest, laughable that she is such a damn nut. Mandy Hayes, I'm so glad she's not our neighbor. I swear, Rick would be in jail and probably wouldn't care. She might find actual stuff done instead of branches that nature put there. Really, that sounds like a threat. Does that sound like a threat? Patrick David McClearly. Like I said before, you're just giving her the power. She's probably seeing these posts. Or one of her minions is telling her about them. The best thing to do is pay no attention to it. Jenna Allen, I am not your close neighbor, but Jackson County is a tight little community. Tell us what we need to do. No one should be left alone to deal with this. Is there a petition or an act of removal us as the community can invoke? Victoria Werskage. This is so sad. They definitely need psychological help. I guess someone put all these branches in my yard. LOL. Ronald Witt, who's this crazy woman? Shawnee Hayes, Scarlett, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. And this is what the narcissist does. She gets her flying monkeys to feel sorry for her by spreading defamation and lies in the community. She needs to go back to New Jersey. Wow, bless you and your neighbors. You all have rights too. Debbie Kraft Parsons. Shannon Montgomery. I'm so sorry you have to deal with this. A complete lunatic. Scarlett replies. Has the audacity to completely lie in a post. She takes facts, factual information about what the Jackson County PVA did, which is against the law, posted to her channel to discredit, when in fact everything that was stated there, not only did I read from a letter sent by the county lawyer, which I read from, factual recording, factual information against the law, discrediting that factual information that my rooster was stolen and thrown out in the cold, and mocking that. Now, the only thing in my personal and educational experience when people mock the killing of animals, there is some underlying disorder. There's an underlying personality disorder. There's a lack of empathy. For somebody to mock the killing of somebody else's animal, when they live all the way down the block, this woman has stalking me for 6 years. This is how slander campaigns are spread in communities. And this is proof. And what I'll do after I post this, I will go and locate the videos where she is caught dropping those poopy diapers in front of my mailbox. All of the things that were stuffed in my mailbox. The fact that I actually spoke to the lawyer of the man that was coerced into damaging my property by her husband. These are the facts. I don't have to lie to get my point across. I tell the truth. You're going to distort the truth? Defamation is spreading false information. And you, dear lady, has the banker. So we're going to end here. I think you've all seen enough. I know that I have. Again, this is an evidentiary video. This is how defamation is spread in communities. You have a couple of neighbors who, or one, who is a stalker, who tells lies, spread lies in the community, and then gets all of her little minions to comment. And we have screenshot all of those comments from all of those people. There was actually only one very intelligent comment there, where the gentleman, I should call him a gentleman, said, well, she's probably going to see these comments. And you're absolutely right, sir. Your comment as well. Everybody that participates in a slander campaign, I haven't met any of you guys, based upon one person's lie, is complicit. You don't know me. You've never met me. You basically know nothing about me except for what this crazy woman is telling you, which in fact are lies. Lies. And just for the record, because I've done it already, and let's see if I can find it quickly. If I could find it quickly. And I'll read it to you. because there have been multiple cease and desist letters. This one is from 2021. February 1st, 2021. Certified mail return receipt. I sent to Scarlett and her husband. Cease and desist, stalking, cyber stalking, electronic threats, harassment, and pet harm. I was uncertain if I should send this letter, yet the information therein needs to be documented for legal purposes. This letter will serve to confirm the following. This is a cease and desist letter to you and your family. Persistent cell phone text threats and harassment and threats by you is considered cyber stalking, KRS 508.130. Stalking by you and your family is 508.140, stalking in the first degree. History. When I moved here in May of 2019, you were kind to provide a couple of cooked meals. In return, I gifted you for free a myriad of items from my property you were interested in as follows. A vintage metal porch rocker bench. I wrote here valued at $300 to $500. Actually, it's valued at more than that. A vintage butter mill valued at $120. A vintage top hat worn by Travis Sparks valued at $80 to $140. A vintage iron valued at $20. A variety of items including framed photos of Travis Sparks and advertising signage that Eddie wanted. You were quick to state that you wanted to purchase my property but did not. This is a fact. On at least 5 separate dates, I received text messages from you stating the following. 1. My cat was hit by a car in front of my house, stating that Eddie's ex-wife, Tanya, was responsible. Number 2. One morning you texted a photo of a wild boar near my driveway, asking if I lost my pig. You know I don't own a pig. You texted me that there was a new burn ban on and you would let me know when it ended. You never did. You texted me that a bear was in my driveway and didn't want me to be quote-unquote scared. There was no photo or evidence of a bear that was offered. On Sunday, September 6, 2020, approximately 9:30 p.m., I received a series of harassing and threatening text messages about my use of a spotlight, a flashlight on my property. You claimed that your niece was so shaken and crying because I spotlighted her. You histrionically texted on and on about a contrived narrative making no sense at all, and adding words and feelings to me that were non-existent and not any inherent part of my personality. In fact, you need to research the laws in the state and town before making false claims because you sound delusional. You are of the misguided belief that you know the difference between a spotlight and a flashlight, which is irrelevant. There is no law or ordinance banning flashlights or spotlights, and in fact, Jackson Energy installed a huge street spotlight at the foot of my driveway. If I wanted to use a flashlight on my property, which is, by the way, extends across the road, I will. Threatening me that your son-in-law is a cop who's friends with most of the police force here in the county and state is duly noted, since you placed the threat in writing and have now implicated yourself in delivering the threat. You went on to text another threat, quote, there'll be a member of the cop team paying you a visit because spotlighting is illegal. So I researched the law. KRS 508130 to 508150, unless the context requires otherwise. To stalk means to engage in an intentional course of conduct directed at a specific person or persons, which seriously harms, alarms, annoys, intimidates, or harasses the person or persons. 3, which serves no legitimate purpose. A course of conduct shall be which would cause a reasonable person to suffer substantial mental distress. And a course of conduct means a pattern of conduct composed of two or more acts, including communications made verbally, electronically, or in writing, evidencing a continuity of purpose. It is not statistically possible, and certainly not a coincidence, that your vehicle suddenly appears when I exit my front door or walk to my mailbox. That you're parked in an adjacent store as I shop, watching me. The day my house was broken into and vandalized, summer of 2019 is deeply disturbing and also suspect. It is obvious from your incessant text messages that you are stalking me. In addition to intentionally cyber-stalking, harassing, and threatening me through the persistent use of a cell phone. Driving with a license plate that reads "Blessed" is hypocritical. When you sell your soul to the devil, you are cursed. Not only are you a hypocrite, but you are a pathological liar, claiming repeatedly that you will send invites yet never do, neither of which I want any association with. Do not contact me for any reason at all. Again, you appear to be delusional, have zero knowledge of the law. If you threaten me again, I will file for a restraining order. This letter is copied to your friends, Sheriff Hayes and Ross Murray. It will be included in my evidence folder. Lastly, most people in a community want to form alliances with new neighbors, especially in the state of the world today. Communities need to unite instead of turning into a snitch society spreading across the country. Unfortunately, it appears that you may be a community harassment stalker who has nothing better to do with your life than follow mine. In my professional and personal experience as a psychologist, it is symbolic of an addictive mindset, envious, jealousy, and greed. If you want my property so badly, make an offer. But I can assure you, I'm not moving anytime soon. The family of the former owner, Travis Sparks, warned me to not trust the neighbors. That is a fact, by the way. That is a fact. They were correct.